Here comes the rain. I hope I don't get electrocuted. If you've followed my channel for a bit, you already know that I enjoy big, powerful ADV bikes, long haul dirt bikes and rally bikes like the Cove. And so when Can-Am reached out to me to ask me if I wanted to spend some time on the all-electric Can-Am Origin, I was a little skeptical, but I figured I'd give it a shot. So I wanted to give you my first impressions. This isn't a long-term review. This isn't, I know it all about the bike. I've literally had it for a few days, a couple rides. And I just wanted to give my very first impressions. And as always, I'm not gonna get super deep into the specs and the tech and all that stuff. I just wanna give you the vibe of what it's like to actually ride this bike on the street, off-road, what it's all about, and yeah, we'll jump on it and let's go. I just can't get over how surreal this feels. Like, you have power with no noise. It's insane. My mind still wants it to be like revving up when I get on the throttle, and it's just not. But I also just went to ghost clutch and shift there. It's like every time you slow down, you go to reach for that clutch and shift, and there's just nothing. But I think you get used to that as you ride, and it's like you get it right away. You're like, oh yeah, there's no clutch, there's no shifter. One thing I do really like that Can-Am did, speaking of controls though, is that the rear brake is a foot pedal like a typical motorcycle. There's a few electric bikes I've seen where the rear brake is where the clutch lever is. And I feel like being a motorcyclist, that just makes it way more confusing. And being in North America, where our mountain bike and bicycle brakes are set up opposite, it also makes it very, very confusing. So I'm glad Can-Am did that. It just makes it feel that much more natural when you first get on this electric motorcycle, because it is different. But once you get riding and forget about all that, the feeling is absolutely surreal. Like, it's so easy to hop on and just ride. And I could see if you have like a 30, 40, 50K commute to work through the city, how awesome that would be, where you're just like, you don't have to worry about clutches and stalling it and stop and go traffic. Really easy to ride. I got no earplugs in, which is absolutely awesome, but you still have the full power of a motorcycle, even though I'm not really showing it to you being stuck behind this tourist in a rental car. But we'll get by him and show you the power. I still like wanna drop a gear and shift down to pass this guy, but you don't have to. You just romp on the throttle and she goes right away. Like, boom, we are by. And I'm just in regular mode. There's still a sport mode on top of this, which really gets the bike jumping a lot more. But that does come at a significant cost to that battery life and range. It drops down really quick when you're romping on it. And you're gonna see right now my battery life probably go down fairly quick, because I am climbing up West Coast Hill. It is a few kilometers long, uphill all the way. And yeah, you can see my expected range left just dropping quicker than what we're actually seeing. The cool part is this bike has regen by turning the throttle forward away from you. And so when we come back down West Coast Hill, we'll actually be able to regenerate some of that extra power that we lost. But yeah, we'll get to that when I come back from this ride, because right now I just want to enjoy the silence and ride of this bike, because it is
absolutely spectacular. It's really well balanced on the road. Like, once you fall into the zone, you don't really think about the electric aspect. You're just on a motorcycle, and there's no difference once you're riding and once you really set your mind to, or free your mind to the ride. And you almost maybe fall into that flow state a little easier with no noise. It's just the tires on the road and a little bit of wind, and that is it. Just pure freedom beyond the rest of that. And it's a fun bike to ride in the twisties with this torque. I really want to compare it to a typical motorbike, and it's got to be sitting somewhere between like a 400 and 500 cc bike is my best guess. Just how it feels, the zippiness of it. It is probably quite a bit heavier than what you'd find your average 400cc bike to be, but it doesn't ride heavy. You notice it when you got to pick the bike up, or once you get the bike leaning really sideways in slow speed. But at all other times, the bike rides really, really light.
Let's put this in sport mode for the next little section of road. The dash, as you can see, is absolutely massive. It is a touch screen. These are not touch sensitive gloves. Oh, there it goes. Which is cool. Or you can do it through the control switch. I do find that there's a lot going on. Maybe it's because I just really enjoy simple bikes with less electronics, but yeah, you do eventually kind of figure it out. You can't change modes while riding, as far as I can figure out. You actually have to stop. Some of the stuff you have to shut the bike off. So you can see here, the bike is no longer on because it's asking me to start it by twisting the throttle forward and holding the starter. So let's confirm sport mode. I think we're in that now. We'll get rid of this. And yeah, to start the bike, like it says, twist the throttle forward, which is reverse mode. And yeah, it's got reverse. We'll get into that later. And then hold the starter. It's a bit of a reach to do. If you had small hands, this would be tricky. You might have to use two hands. But yeah, let's go ahead and start it. Gives us a little beep, and now we're live. And one thing that is maybe a little bit weird, and this has to be a thing for every electric motorcycle, is that you really don't have a clear indication when it's on or not on. And I'd kind of be scared to just like be sitting here right now chilling, and a buddy comes up and goofs off and like twists the throttle because the bike's going to take off, and they're going to go like, oh wow, I didn't know it was on. Because when it's off, like, this is really the only difference. So it'd be nice if there was like something maybe a bit more clear or obvious when the bike was on, just to make sure that doesn't happen. Because with no clutch, it's just that throttle's just live all the time. Okay, so let's give sport mode a little test here. We'll keep going down Highway 14. Oh yeah, you can definitely feel a little more torque, a little more zip in that sport mode, but you'll see that battery drain down quicker. We're already showing 61K left, and we left on a full charge. Yeah, pretty fun. The bike does have traction control and ABS, which with this wet road right now is a pretty nice thing. Definitely not going full romp because of the wetness on the road. I'll have to get it back out for another little ride once it's dry, but we're in the rainforest. We got a foggy day. It's just too beautiful to not come out here and shoot this. The road manners on this bike are pretty impressive. I really wasn't sure what to think when it comes to an electric motorcycle, because I started thinking about electric mountain bikes, and I was like, where's the line? At what point is an electric motorbike an electric motorcycle? And at what point is an electric motorcycle just a motorcycle? Because this can do normal motorcycle speeds, absolutely no problem. So it's really
starts to make an interesting question of where does this bike actually sit, and could it be just a motorcycle? Maybe with that range it's lacking, but I really want to say that once the battery tech gets to a point where you could plop a battery in this and get an easy 250 kilometers of romping and real riding, that it's just a motorcycle. Like, then it's legit and it's a serious option for anybody. Right now it takes about 45 minutes to charge it from 0 to 100 on a fast charger. You can go to a charger at like public charging infrastructures, plug it in, go grab a coffee or lunch, and come back and you should be fully charged and set to go again. The advertised range, they say, is 145 kilometers. I don't think you're gonna get that out of real riding. Like you can see, we're already down to an estimated 55 kilometers left, but I was romping up West Coast Hill and we were going uphill, so that's just gonna drain the battery pretty quick. I haven't drained it down to 0 yet or to C, but I'm guessing it'll go into a turtle mode to try to conserve that battery for the last few kilometers to try to get you somewhere. But yeah, overall experience is it rides really well. It's got great road manners. It's really comfortable. Can-Am nailed the ergonomics and the feel. It's really impressive there, and that might be leaning back onto their old heritage of racing and dirt bikes. Like it feels like you're just on a dual sport bike. It doesn't have the presence of a big adventure bike sitting on it. It's got a little bit more presence than your average dual sport, but to me it feels a little bit more dual sporty than adventure bikey, just with the size of it and the narrow seat and what I want to say the narrow fuel tank is, even though it's not a fuel tank. But yeah, this is just a nice, comfortable ride, and if the battery would last longer, you could do this all day. This would be a hoot to ride around the circle route if you could make it in one charge, maybe 2 charges, but that's definitely the Achilles heel at the moment. I was also talking to Can-Am. I currently have the bike set in metric mode, but the main speedometer is showing in miles per hour. I do have kilometers per hour down in smaller ones, which I thought was a little weird for it being in metric mode. And I assume that there's going to be a firmware update coming that will change that. And maybe there just hasn't been that many of these in Canada and they haven't thought about that. But yeah, hopefully we see that update soon, because I would really prefer to see kilometers an hour as my big number, and then a little miles per hour would be great. I do like when they show both, because if you're doing a trip and you're going down into the US, it's nice to just see both and not have to stop and pull over and change your mode or change your units. So that is cool that they thought about that. Although it might be a bit of a difficult bike to do a trip that big and long on, but you never know. One day with battery tech, I think it'll get there, and I think we'll be doing that. The ride comfort is just unbelievable. For a narrow seat, it's got some nice squish to it. It's pretty comfortable. The ergonomics just feel great, and maybe it's part of because you're not taking it on a super long ride. But yeah, it is getting foggy out here. I'm having a hard time seeing now. I think it's time we go find some dirt. What do you guys think?
If you're new to the channel here, I am John from backroads Moto. If you enjoy this content, please give us a subscribe. It'll help grow the channel. Maybe we can get some more demo bikes like this and gas-powered bikes to review, and I can let you know my thoughts on. Thanks so much.
We found dirt. Okay, let's get this in off-road mode. So there's a settings button here. Traction control we want off. And we can hit OK. Next button, we want to go into off-road plus. Max throttle and max regen, traction control off. Okay, let's exit that. And yeah, we are ready to go. Woo! You can really spin that back wheel out quite easily. That is fun. This is a sick little section, pretty close to home for me, but figure it would make a good little test route. Oh, what did we beep about here? I'm not sure what that beep was about, but let's keep going. One thing you really notice is how good the ergonomics are on this bike for the dirt. And Can-Am has a history of producing some incredible dirt bikes for off-road, for MX, and they really looked into that heritage here and built a bike that feels so good off-road. Part of it is they nailed those ergonomics, and the other part, oh, I am losing my Insta360 camera. Let's stop and fix that. Okay, hopefully that'll stay put now. Yeah, you really notice when you get off-road how good the ergonomics are on this bike. And you almost feel like Can-Am, being out of the motorcycle game for so long, doesn't have the ability to build a bike that's this good off-road. But they do have a long heritage of off-road bikes and MX bikes, and they've made some incredible dirt bikes over the years, and I'm pretty sure they must have leaned on that heritage when they built this bike, because it is way better on the dirt than it deserves, and the ergonomics feel absolutely perfect for it. Part of why it rides so well too is that the electric motor is on the swing arm. It's not like a traditional motorcycle where you're, ooh, almost went off there, but yeah, bike does well, keeping it on, a little forward bounce, but got it back under control. But like I was saying, the motor is on the swing arm. It's not like a traditional built motorcycle where your main drive is coming from the chassis and transfers into a chain, because when you have that, your drive affects your suspension because it's pulling that swing arm up. And with the motor on the swing arm, it's disconnected, so the suspension can work freely, making this bike ride way better than it actually is. Oh, and there's another little issue that I've been running into, is that my foot is kicking the my foot is kicking the kickstand down, and that causes an error and puts the bike into turtle mode. And the only way to get that off is to shut it right off, I believe. You take the key out, it still takes a minute for this bike to shut off, but once it's off, you can turn it back on, and you do have to put it back into off-road mode, I believe. Yeah, it just seems like with the bigger feet, this is something that happens. My heel's pushing that kickstand down. What mode are we in here? Yes, we're back into regular mode. So let's put this into off-road mode. Boom, boom, boom. And cycle through. Turn traction control off. There we go, back up out of here, and we're good to go. So yeah, that happens for me on most bikes. I got size 11 feet. I wear size 10 boots though, because I don't like a big boot. Most of the time I'll disable that kickstand switch so that the bike doesn't get killed when it happens. But I haven't had a chance to look into if that's possible on this bike. I just gotta try to really remember to keep my toes in and heels out and try not to push that kickstand down. The nice part is though that it doesn't shut the bike right off, it just puts it into that turtle mode. If you've ever ridden a normal motorcycle and hit that kickstand switch and killed the bike, you know it's a different story because that rear wheel locks up and you lose all power. Here it just kicks you down into turtle mode. And speaking of the rear wheel locking up, it's not actually something that can happen with the electric motor, which isn't a big deal, but I have found a few times trying to park the bike on steeper hills, it wants to keep rolling. It's almost like they need some sort of parking brake on the bike. And I'm not sure what other companies that make electric bikes do for that, but it's something that I noticed that you really have that bike roll away on you. There's no way of locking up that rear wheel when you park. Whew, this is getting tight. I still have hard time sometimes talking and focusing on riding. But I got a smile on my face because this is fun to ride this thing off-road. The way it rides, it's inspiring me to want to take it on a big trip, on a big adventure, but it would be tough with that mileage, and luggage would be the other concern. They did include a couple small pannier bags, but they're not really big enough for moto camping, so I think I'd have to go with them and a backpack. As far as I can see, there's no proper tail rack to be able to put rackless luggage on it. And again, you add all that weight of moto camping gear, and that's likely going to really decrease your battery life again. Woo. The slow speed control is really cool. I wish there was something super techy in here to show you that, but with no clutch and that electric motor, you can creep pretty slow and pretty controlled. And I'd have to say, for the weight of the bike, because it's pretty heavy, it does not ride heavy at all. I don't know how Can-Am hid all the weight. I'm guessing most of it in the battery is just sitting so low, but it really rides way lighter than it is. It wants to ride like a nice little dual sport, and then you look up the weight, which I think it's north of 400 pounds, and you're like, there's no way. Like, it does not feel anywhere close to 400 pounds to me. The time you do notice the weight the most is going downhill, and maybe we should turn around, start heading back, and I can show you that. All right, so yeah, this is where the bike just free rolls back, and yeah, now we'll be going downhill, and it just kind of keeps rolling and rolling faster. Oh, there goes my side stand again. So the bike's back in turtle mode, which means I gotta stop and turn the bike off again. There we go. Keep that heel out. So this is definitely when the bike feels the heaviest. You have no engine braking like a typical bike, so you are on the brakes to get her slowed down. It does have that regen, which is somewhat like engine braking, but I've found on off-road it just kind of causes that rear wheel to slide and skip. So to initiate that engine braking, or that regen, I guess, you roll the throttle forward past your kind of stop point. Oh. So the throttle stops, and then you can just roll it forward a few degrees, and that activates the regen, which causes that rear wheel to get some resistance, almost like braking. and it works better on the road than it does off-road. I was riding it down some really steep, chunky stuff yesterday, and it was basically unusable. Through the steeper sections, we might be able to use it, but like I said, this isn't that steep. Oh, this bike does put a smile on your face, though. You can say what you want about electric motorcycles, but it is fun the way it rides. Woo! I should have tried the regen down that. Let's do it down the next little downhill section. Come through here. Okay, so regen on. So yeah, the back wheel's kind of skipping around, locking up. Not a very useful feature off-road, because you really don't want that rear wheel locking up, and you really lose control. It's not like feathering the clutch kind of feel. It's more like a switch where it's almost on and off, because that roll forward is just a few degrees. There's not a lot to it, and maybe it'd be beneficial to have a bit more of that forward roll so you can control it. But yeah, this here, chunkier, steeper downhill, that's when you notice the weight a lot more, and you just got to be on the brakes. I have ABS off, so I can kind of undulate it. Ooh, that was a good stick right in the shoulder there. Well, I'll keep cruising out through this trail and get back to the top of West Coast Trail, and we'll show you what downhill on the road is like and see how much power we regain going down West Coast Hill. Woo! Well, here's the example about that wheel always being free. On a slight downhill, put the kickstand down to go pee, and of course the bike just rolls forward and falls. But great opportunity for a pickup test, and I can tell you, this is when you really feel the weight of the bike. I'm not even sure I can pick it up myself, and the fact that you can't lock that rear wheel means the bike wants to keep rolling on you. Whew. Let's try this method. Oh, that bike is heavy. Whew. Okay. See, there's the bike rolling again. So, yeah, doesn't like that. We really got to make sure it's somewhere flat. So, the OEM crash bars do great though. So, it's a good thing they're on there. It's kind of funny going by people because I think they're expecting the noise of a motorcycle. And last time I went through that construction zone, they really gave me a look. I wish I got it on camera, but it was pretty funny just silently rolling through. Here we are at the top of West Coast Hill, so I can show you guys what the regen is all about here. You can see here that there's the orange and blue. So when you're in the orange, you're on the accelerator, you're using up battery power. And when you're in the blue, you're regen. So even just going downhill with neutral throttle, I got some slow regen. And if I get really on it, you can see my regen goes to max, but I slow right down. But it's kind of nice, instead of using the brakes, because this just has your typical motorcycle disc brakes, you can use your regen on spots like this and get a little bit of that battery power back, which is pretty nice because you do gobble it up pretty quick on these uphills. So this will just kind of replace all that power that you lost. And yeah, let's be thankful we're not these guys, because they look like they are in a sufferfest coming up West Coast Hill. They're going to be wishing they did this loop the other way around. So there we go, heavy on the regen, get slowed down for the corner.
and back out. It's a pretty cool feature, just rolling that throttle forward to get almost that engine braking feel. And it works really, really well on the street or a high traction environment. Not so well off-road, especially in chunky stuff. But yeah, I don't think that's where it's meant to be used anyways. You can see back into regen, just cruising down, getting some power put back into the battery and still maintaining a decent pace. It feels like engine braking. I don't know how long you'd have to go downhill with regen to actually see a difference, but I'm sure it helps a little bit. I mean, on an electric motorcycle with limited range, I think you'll take every little bit of power back that you can get, because you lose it quick once you go uphill or get into the twisties and get going on it. I should stop and show you guys the reverse feature too, which is pretty unique.
Oh, what a fun ride, and no gas burnt. What a view. So now if I want to back out of here, I can hold the starter button, goes into reverse, and then I just roll the throttle forward and I have reverse. Kind of cool. Don't know how practical it is, but it's kind of nice. And then hold it back down and you're back into drive mode. Nothing make or break, but kind of cool. I think the bike's light enough that it's not 100% necessary, but just kind of cool to have. We had a little ride in reverse contest in our backyard the other day. Pretty hard, but we made a bit of distance, a few meters, not putting the feet down. Now this part is pretty cool. Just got back from the ride, so I'll plug it in. You open that. This is the home charger. It's just plugged into a normal outlet. Plug her in like that and get her charged up for your next ride. So we are plugged in, and you can see on the screen here, battery life's currently at 39%. We can get about 33 kilometers out of that, and the time remaining on the charger is 2 hours 25 minutes, and then we'll be back to 100% and can go on our next ride. Kind of cool that you just plug it in, no need to fill it up, very little maintenance. Like, you can just get on this bike and ride. You just gotta plug it in and good to go.
Well, did the Can-Am Origin change my mind? I'm gonna say it did. It's not a bike that's gonna replace any of the bikes in my garage. It can't be a long haul single tracker like the Cove. It can't cross the country like one of my big adventure bikes, but it is just fun to ride. It's unbelievable what Can-Am did with their first bike since 1987. That's the year I was born. That's the last time they produced a bike. And I think with this bike being so good, it's really got me excited for the future of Can-Am again. I'm curious to know where they go next. I want to see them produce a big electric adventure bike, something that can take on a flagship ADV like the BMW 1300 GS. If they can get battery tech that can get comparable range to a tank of the fuel of the GS and actually ride this well as a big bike, they are going to be onto something. I'd also really love to see them get back into the enduro game. That's where their roots are, that's where they started, and that would be unbelievable. Rather it's electric, something to take on the Stark Varg, or maybe they go back to a gas-powered bike like their true origin. That would be something I would love to see. So let me know down in the comments, are you interested in this bike? Would you try an electric adventure bike? And where do you think Can-Am's going with this? Do you think we will see a gas-powered motorcycle from Can-Am for the first time in almost 40 years? That would be something else.